Viking Expeditions, Great Lakes, a cruisinwithted.com production.
Hello and welcome everyone. This is Cruising with Ted with our Viking live video event. Today we're featuring Viking Great Lakes itineraries. So thank you for attending our cruisingwithted.com premiere event. So let's just give everyone a few minutes just to join in. There is a chat box. If you've done Zoom before, you know you can go into the chat box to answer questions. We won't individually have people voice their questions, but we do ask you that you use the chat feature to couch any questions you have, okay? And 1 second here. And these are our hosts for today. That's me, Cruising with Ted Karbowski. And some of you know me from Facebook. Some of you are my own clients. You know, we've been in the cruising industry since the turn of the century. We've helped tens of thousands of people like you. And all we do is small ocean ships, river cruise ships, and expedition cruises. Today, we have the pleasure of introducing here Darren Dolan. He's the Director of Business Development for Viking Cruises. So he works directly with Viking Cruises. Take it away, Mr. Dolan.
Hey, Ted, thank you so much. How are you doing today?
All right.
Excellent. So let's get here. And very good, Ted. As always, a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me along today and to share some information on, some more exciting news of Viking. Great pleasure to be with you. As it always is, you know, you mentioned the fact that I work with Viking. Yes, I have. And I have done so for 11 years now. So I've definitely seen lots of changes. But my primary role here at Viking is to be that support to you, the travel advisor, and you know, to educate you, to provide you support so you can pass that on to your clients as well. So again, as my director of business development is to work with our wonderful trade partners, of which Ted definitely is one, a great supporter of Viking. And it's always a pleasure to be able to present in conjunction with Ted and his followers, I want to say, his clients and followers. As you know, you have an amazing following, Ted. So Viking Expeditions, indeed. You know, I mean, started back in 2011. I started in 2011. We had, I believe, 7 ships at that time, river ships only. And from then we moved on to ocean cruising in 2015. And in true Viking fashion, we never we never rest on our laurels. We want to move forward. We want to see what's new and adventurous. And so we announced that we will be entering into expedition cruising. And while the world has been turned upside down these last couple of years, it definitely hasn't stopped Viking in its expansion, because we were so excited in January of this year to welcome the first of our Viking expedition vessels, the Viking Octantis. While expedition cruising, when we think of expedition cruising, we think primarily of Antarctic, Arctic, Galapagos, and such. But what I'm going to be sharing with you today is quite unique in the fact that we are going to be bringing these magnificent vessels to our very own doorsteps here in North America. As I mentioned from the get-go, you know, the expansion of the company has been remarkable, from, you know, becoming that household name in what we were always known as Viking River Cruises. We came from Viking River Cruises and expanded, as I alluded to now, to simply today called Viking. And why do we do this? It really is that brand experience that you're going to have. Whether you're sailing with us on the rivers of Europe, whether you're sailing on the 7 seas globally on our ocean vessels, whether you're sailing in the Antarctic or up in the Great Lakes of America, or even now about to be sailing on the mighty Mississippi River as well, and another brand new experience for our Viking clients to be enjoying. You know, it brings up such numbers like these, and they are absolutely remarkable. As a single entity, no other cruise company can provide you so many different options under one title, under one single brand. So we are very proud of our expansion, and we're very excited about our expansion. And I know that, you know, if we all come together again this time next year, we're probably looking at some different numbers here again. As I say, we will not be just resting on our laurels. And, you know, what is about Viking? It is the difference that we've created. We are destination focused, and we are culturally enriched. When we look at our Viking clients, the reason why we're sailing is to really broaden our horizons and to continue with that expansion in education. And, you know, just a few things that, you know, that are noteworthy for us is to say that we not be everything to everyone. We have discovered who the Viking client is, and we really focus on that client. When we come to our marketing, when we come to our onboard experiences, bringing like-mindedness together, I think really has been the secret to our success. Of course, it goes without saying, we are destination oriented. I've already touched on the many other regions of the world where we travel. You know, we always look and talk about maximizing the length of time that we spend in port, you know, culturally immersing ourselves in all our itineraries, and to provide a highly inclusive product. And what we're going to be looking at today is probably while we try to say, you know, what we experience within the Viking brand is across the board, there's even a little bit more all-inclusiveness to the Viking expedition experience that we're going to be looking at closer today. It goes without saying, an efficient operator. When we look at the expansion of the ships, you know, while our fleet has grown tremendously, when we look at our river fleet, you know, we are looking at a large number of vessels that are built identical. And the same true for our Viking ocean fleet as well. While we introduced a 10th of our ocean fleet, they are identical. This does allow us to streamline and to be efficient in all our operations. And my goodness, it goes without saying, I can sit here today and provide you this, you know, this presentation. Ted can provide his background and his professionalism as well. But and maybe there are many of you on the presentation today that have actually had the experience to cruise with us. And I always love to say, you know, that the proof is in the pudding, and it's regardless of what happens prior to your experience with Viking, when you get on board, it's the crew, it's the staff that really make your experience special. It you know, blows my mind daily to consider the fact that while we looked at those numbers and see how our fleet has grown over this 10 or 11 year period, that we've maintained this really high quality of service, that, you know, the satisfaction ratings have been immense. And, you know, we have people lined up daily applying to come work with Viking. And we are very fortunate to be able to choose from the best of the best in the industry. So it definitely goes without saying, enjoying wonderful, wonderful staff. As we mentioned as well, you know, Viking Expedition really expands on this mission that we've created, and journeying to the unexplored wilderness, you know, both at far reaches of the world and the heart of North America as well. We really have re-envisioned expedition voyaging, and obviously this is to facilitate exploration and scientific discovery. This is really what this experience is truly all about. I had the very fortunate pleasure of not sailing on the vessel, but actually going to visit the Viking Octantis last week when she was in Milwaukee, and just walking around listening to the program director, should I say expedition leader, it became so apparent that while I knew that the experiences on board the expedition ships is that of science and research, I don't think I was really prepared to realize how much and how deep the experiences go as far as the scientific and research experiences go. You know, and we are a ship, you know, a ship operator, if you would, a cruise operator. So it only made sense that really forging some magnificent relationships globally to bring these partners on board the vessel is just something that really sets us apart from any other expedition cruise out there. We truly are doing expedition science and research. these exclusive partnerships that we have with the University of Cambridge, the Scots Polar Research Institute. These scientists are just, specialize in what's happening down in Antarctica. The University of Cambridge as well, Cornell, closer to home, of course, the Cornell Lab of Ornithology, whose ornithologists will, regularly join us on board the vessels as well to do field testing, as well as observation and new methods of providing insight to interaction. And of course, the other partner there, NOAA, that I'm sure we're all familiar with, particularly in South Florida. Their headquarters located not too far from where I live, actually. And it was remarkable to learn that, while we're doing expedition cruising, we're actually setting up weather balloons, up there with the tags of our clients on board and the ship's name. And those weather balloons are going up and feeding back the information back to the ship, and from the ship back to the NOAA headquarters. So I know, as I discovered last week as well, there are more to come. While we look at the vessel and what the experiences are going to be all about, visiting the lab on board and discovering we are going to be having up to 38 scientists and researchers on every single cruise that we operate, whether it be in Antarctica or as we're looking at today here in the Great Lakes. So again, it really has that hands-on experience that we're going to be having. And, just not only what we're experiencing on board, but of course, that here at Viking, we firmly believe it's important for us to support the research efforts and these new scientific discoveries. And we're going to be providing every opportunity for you, our guests, to further your understanding of the world around you as you're experiencing your cruises. So it truly is a hand-in-hand experience of the ship, of the destination, and of the science and research aspect that we're going to be experiencing as well. As I mentioned, when we think of expedition cruising, we think of Arctic, Antarctic, Galapagos, and such locations. But these locations and destinations are rather seasonal and can only be experienced in certain months of the year, particularly when we look at our Antarctic experience, right? For maybe anybody on the presentation today has sailed down to Antarctica and made that voyage from Ushuaia down to the Antarctic Isles there and across Drake's Passage, which can be one of the most, enlightening experiences in cruising. The weather factor, of course, becomes. And so when we're at this time of the year, it will be impossible for us to be experiencing Antarctica. So very smart person came up with the concept, the idea, if we build this expedition cruise ships at a particular dimension, particularly the width, what it will enable us to do is to make those cruises from the southern reaches up the coastline of Southern America, South America, and into North America, and then enter in where no other ships of this type can enter into. And that will be allowing us to transit through the Welland Canal locks. And one of the itineraries that we're going to be looking at really will feature and stress how important this is. Recent images that I've seen show inches of gap between the ship and the actual lock walls themselves. It's remarkable. Talk about a tight fit. Glad we got it right. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're already cruising up in the Great Lakes, so it was absolutely magnificent. So really smart thinking of how to really maximize the use of these expedition vessels by means of sailing down through the Great Lake, through the Welland Canal, and then into all 5 of the Great Lakes that we see. Here we really are going to be discovering the natural wonders, from outstanding beauty to historic cities, and having that deep connection to nature. The Great Lakes really are in the undiscovered treasure in the United States, and North America's. Many people comment when I say we're sailing in the Great Lakes. Great Lakes, what is this at sea in the Great Lakes? Well, probably the parts of the country that you have not seen from this angle. Again, this is truly an immersion into our own backyard, and combining that with the scientific research experience, it truly is unique for us. This entire area It's so rich in culture as well. It has world-class museums. It has vibrant cities in areas that are really steeped in tradition. That it's quite remarkable. It truly, truly is. So, allowing us to engage and to immerse ourselves in the Great Lakes region. And we have several itineraries for you to choose from. The first of which is, it really is, I like to call it a repositioning cruise, right? And it's very similar. Maybe you have already experienced what we love to call in the industry the fall foliage cruises, right? Which traditionally would cruise from New York to Montreal or Boston to Montreal. But then Montreal, Quebec would pretty much be the destination and then the departure location, because of the fact that most ships then can sail no further down the canal. But as we've come to learn, our vessels do sail through the Welland Canal and through the ship locks and in canals. So that's allowing us to continue on this way. As you would see, Quebec City, Canada, that would pretty much be the 9-day full foliage cruise, right? But no, we're now able to continue on this way to add additional days till we get to Toronto. And again, we're always talking about, maximizing length of time in port, ensuring that we spend as much time as we possibly can in those locations, and including many overnights along the way as well. And how does that look when we look at the cruise map itself? As is seen here, sailing up the northeast coast of the United States into Canada, Halifax, Nova Scotia, again, Prince Edward Island, another location that we're probably all very familiar with, and then into the canals itself, down the St. Lawrence Seaway, past Quebec City, through the ship canals, and into the first of the Great Lakes, into Lake Ontario for Toronto. And as always, as a reminder, when we do look at the Viking cruise maps, it's always very important just to spot out those white circles, because those white circles always indicate that we will be enjoying an overnight on the ship that particular time. So on this itinerary, as we see, Toronto would be an overnight. Now, we've made that transition into the Great Lakes already. Now what we're going to be enjoying is a series of 8-day itineraries. Sometimes they can be added in what we call combined or butterflied, as we would, but we are now going to make our way from the Eastern Lakes to the west and then further up into the north as well. Along the way of this particular itinerary, though, as we sail from New York to Toronto, I just wanted to pull out just a couple of highlights, which I've done on the other itineraries as well. Visit here, as we saw on the cruise map, to Nova Scotia, Halifax, Nova Scotia, that is. And here we're going to get to hike the scenic Peggy's Cove, or even get to kayak and explore the history and the wilderness of the surrounding McNabbs Island as well. Again, the whole aspect again of the expedition cruise is brought forward to the experience and what we're able to do and how we're able to experience these locations. And having the series of kayaks on board and other watercraft as well really bring us the opportunity to get closer to nature. When we look at the expedition experience, we are looking mainly at a more of an active experience as well. Not forced upon you, but absolutely providing the opportunity to enjoy more active experiences while on board. Of course, hiking and kayaking being two of those typical experiences. As I mentioned earlier, into Quebec City, Quebec, absolutely beautiful location. And here, when in the location of Quebec City, we are going to be able to hike the Mont Saint Anne or the Cap de Thomas National Wildlife Area as well. Or again, the opportunities, as the image would show, kayaking on the scenic Ile de Orleans as well. So really becoming one with nature, getting close up and enjoying these wonderful active experiences while on board. And how iconic to see the downtown Toronto, one of my favorite cities. Absolutely love Toronto and Ontario and the whole region. And Ontario is going to be one of those, regions of Canada that we're going to be actually making multiple stops at as we've continued through the other itineraries. But here in Toronto, we're going to get to tour the city itself. We're going to get to stroll the St. Lawrence Market. We're going to be admiring the eclectic art scene, or again, as we always do as well, having the opportunity to maybe kayak on Lake Ontario as well. And when we entered into Toronto, of course, it will be the embarkation or debarkation for the Canadian Discovery, as we just mentioned, or it may just be the beginning point for those who are going to be sailing on the Niagara and the Great Lakes itinerary, the first of the 8 that we'll be looking at. And as I mentioned that as well, that particular itinerary comes up on our slide here. So the first of the 8-day itineraries will bring us sailing from Toronto to Milwaukee on this 8-day itinerary, or vice versa. Of course, it's available in both directions. Remarkable itinerary this. It is going to be going through one of my favorite regions of Canada, and the whole Niagara on the Lakes region. I absolutely love that area. But again, I'm passing through the Welland Canal, a visit to the Niagara Falls and the Niagara on the Lakes region, onto Point Pelee, and then back onto the U.S. side, visits to Detroit, Alpena, Michigan, around Mackinac Island, Traverse City, Michigan, and then finally to where I was last week in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And how that looks on a cruise map will be set out as you would see. So we're actually now on this particular itinerary going to be enjoying 4 of the Great Lakes already, setting sail from Lake Ontario through the Welland Canal, which gives us access into Lake Erie as we pass through Detroit and into Lake Huron, around the northern tip there of Mackinac Island, Traverse City as mentioned, and then finally into Lake Michigan with port of call into Milwaukee. Full disclosure, I had not previously been to Milwaukee till last week, and remarkable. For the first time in my life, I really got the feel of what these Great Lakes truly are. Flying over, it is as though you're flying over an ocean when you stand alongside the lake, not being able to see, another side of a lake, which in your mind is just remarkable. It gives you the real feel of how vast these lakes are. It was absolutely remarkable, and I, for one, cannot wait to experience an actual cruise on the expedition vessel in this region itself. So Niagara and the Great Lakes, 8-day Toronto to Milwaukee, or Milwaukee to Toronto, and just a couple of highlights again. As I mentioned, we're going to get a close-up view of the power and the majesty, of course, of the Niagara Falls, which obviously includes the largest of them, which we see in this image, the Horseshoe Falls. Visits out to Niagara on the Lakes and the famed wine region there, of course, as well. The wonderful ice wine that they're so popular with and so famous for. And then cruising then on past Niagara on the Lakes. As I mentioned, Point Pelee, remarkable shot. As we say, it's really one with nature, aren't we? And this is really what we're really on board to experience. And we get to admire unbelievable, the untold numbers of migratory birds and butterflies can all be discovered here at Point Pelee National Park. And again, this is where the scientists and the researchers, ornithologists on board really go to town and enjoy the aspect of this. And we're going to be learning. It's going to give them an insight into the migration and really add to the knowledge. And then on the flip side of that, right, we've gone from nature and migration of birds back to Detroit. Oh my goodness, and so much can be enjoyed and had, and the history that Detroit, Michigan brings to us. We think of the music aspects, we think of the automobile industry as well, and here we're going to get to really browse Americana, right, and the exhibits that we get to enjoy at the Henry Ford Museum, as pictured here, is actually including JFK's limousine itself, a visit to Edison's lab. So really taking in the cultural aspect, while one moment we're enjoying and embracing the nature, now we're again enjoying the cultural aspect to what cruising on the Great Lakes can bring.
Excuse me, Darren.
Yes.
Could we remind them that if they have any questions to put them in the chat? This is Cruising with Ted.
Yep.
If they have any questions, there's a chat box, and we'll take them up later, towards the end of your presentation, and we'll talk about that, and then I'll give some information as well. Okay.
Indeed, absolutely, yes. That's why we're here together, right? To learn more about it. And if there are any questions, queries that you may have, yes, as Ted said, please put them in the chat box. Hopefully we can get to those questions at the end. Maybe I have the answers, maybe I don't. And if I don't have those answers, then I will work on getting them for you and sharing them with Ted so he can share them with you. The second of the 8-day itineraries that we're looking at here is now the Great Lakes Explorer. So we've made our way from Toronto into Milwaukee, as you see. Now we're going to make this northerly passage. Thunder Bay is the point of disembarkation on this particular itinerary. And what we're able to do when we come to the next slide is you'll see geographically how this is set out and how by looking at the day by day, you get a great feel that this experience is going to be more focused on the Canadian Maritimes than the US Maritimes. So this is one that I probably would be looking forward to experiencing the most. Some of these remarkable aspects of nature come to mind. We really are going to have that true expedition experience. You see us there located on days 3, 4, 5 in Georgian Bay. The nature aspect of this location is so true. This is where the scientists and the researchers really are going to, immerse themselves into this destination and retrieve as much information as they possibly can for their research. And then scenic sailing through the Soo Locks and then into the final of the Great Lakes. And how does that look if we set that out on a cruise map? It looks as such. Again, sailing back from Milwaukee, heading north through Lake Michigan, a visit to Mackinac Island again, back into Lake Huron, but this time making our way into Georgia Bay. And there are three major points there in Georgia Bay of Parry Sound, of Killarney, as well as the Little Current as well. And we're gonna manage that very much like we manage our Antarctic cruise. When we get down to Antarctica, we commit ourselves down there for the 7 days, but we don't put a daily routine out because, we want to ensure that we're going to be visiting, we're going to be experiencing these destinations when nature is at its best, when the viewing is the best, when wildlife has been spotted and when currents are right for us to enjoy the waterways and the actual aspect of Georgia Bay. So as you saw on the day by day, we dedicate 3 days to Georgia Bay, but we don't say on day 1 we'll be at Parry Sound, and then we'll be in Killarney, for instance, but really allowing us to remain there for that 3-day period to enjoy what nature has in store for us the very best. And then exiting out of Georgian Bay through the Soo Locks into the 5th and final of the Great Lakes to experience, into Lake Superior and into Thunder Bay, Ontario. As you will see there again, this is a white circle. So that does indicate the fact that we will be overnighting here in Thunder Bay. And through our relationships and airlift and such then, so this will be an embarkation or fly into or fly out of Thunder Bay to one of the surrounding major gateways to fly then home. Or maybe you've opted to continue on your way to link this 8-day Great Lakes Explorer to come back to Milwaukee. Now, we are going to be coming back to Milwaukee, but as you will see, when we get to that cruise and into that cruise map, there are little differences that the routing that we take is a little bit different to what we would take here on the northbound itinerary. So again, just a couple of the highlights: beautiful Mackinac Island, picturesque, very serene, picturesque, beautiful. During the summer months that we're up there right now, a remarkable port of call for us. We're going to get to explore this really wonderful, carefree island either by carriage bicycle or by walking through the streets as well. But of course, as always, the opportunity to paddle and kayak along the shorelines of Mackinac Island. And Mackinac Island, as we saw on the cruise map, is quite a popular destination for us because it is incorporated and included in all three of the 8-day itineraries, from the Great Lakes Explorer that we looked at to the Undiscovered Great Lakes, as well as the Niagara on the Great Lakes itinerary as well. So beautiful, picturesque Mackinac Island. And as I mentioned then, our location, our destination, which is really the depth of this itinerary into Georgian Bay, Ontario. And here we're going to really discover some of the 30,000 islands that actually make up and to compromise, that comprise this magnificent UNESCO biosphere reserve. It is, nature at its very best. As I mentioned, this is where the scientists and the researchers and yourselves joining us will be working alongside, capturing imagery, capturing migration, capturing the flora, the fauna, and the wildlife aspect to this beautiful, beautiful region. And then before making our way through into the final of the locks, into final of the lakes, as I mentioned, with our final destination there being Thunder Bay, Ontario. And again, we overnight there, so giving us more of a in-depth experience. And what beauty do we see on this slide here? And again, this is all about offering active experiences, being able to hike through the boreal forests, and we're going to be watching out for wildlife, and we're going to be learning all about the Anishinaabe First Nations heritage. These nations who've called this area home for decades, centuries, and it is absolutely remarkable, taking this magnificent cultural aspect together with the natural aspect here of Thunder Bay, Ontario. And then, as I mentioned, we are then going to be the ship would then head back to Milwaukee, but taking an alternate route. So when we look at the day-by-day Thunder Bay to Milwaukee, again, another magnificent 8-day itinerary, we are going to see more of a westerly itinerary and more of a dedication to the US states on our way south again. So that will, on a cruise map, allowing us to show that arriving into Thunder Bay, again, it would be an overnight on the ship as well, to take in all the magnificent experiences that we just touched on the previous slide, and then heading down through the northern states into Duluth, Minnesota, Apostle Islands, through Houghton, and then back through the Sioux Locks as we've done previously, a visit to Mackinac Island again, and then finally back into Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Again, just adding and just putting together those wonderful aspects of both culture, nature, and science. When visiting into Duluth, for instance, getting to ride on a vintage train, or strolling downtown at the waterfront, or getting to visit here, as we see here on this image here, browsing here through the Great Lakes Aquarium as well. Apostle Islands, absolutely magnificent. This again, great examples of nature at its best here. Here at Apostle Islands, we get to look forward and look out for the bald eagles. Here are the sea caves, visits to the bogs and the wetlands, and there are actually 22 islands in this archipelago here in Apostle Islands. So again, at every turn there's nature. At every turn there's an experience for us to be had. And then, as mentioned, there also the other port of call here in Houghton, Michigan as well. Here we're going to get to learn about the region's copper mining history. We're going to get to admire the scenic old growth forest that we see here, as well as all the marshlands. So, so much for the scientists and researchers to really delve into the experience. And I'll be talking about what we do in the labs coming up here soon. So that would, in a nutshell, give you highlights of the itineraries that we are going to be enjoying in the Great Lakes. Now, what about the vessel itself? As I mentioned, I had the great privilege and honor to actually experience the ship last week. Yes. Okay. Nope. Nope. No, I thought you were saying sorry. Visiting the ships themselves. As again, these are ships that are built for discovery, destination, as well as science and research. So we really are going to be doing something quite unique. They really do, just as we've done with all our vessels, we've taken the aspects of the river cruise ships that were built in Europe, right, in the long ships that maybe many of you have enjoyed. We took the same architects, same designers, same feel, that Scandinavian contemporary aspect that we enjoy in all our ships, and brought that over onto this specifically built expedition vessel. So getting to sail in comfort, again, one of our wonderful taglines, discovering the world in comfort is one of our taglines for sure. But taking it and then building onto this frame. And this frame, as I said, these ships, these expedition ships are being optimally designed for expedition cruising. They are optimally sized as well. So it allows us to enjoy the expeditions, but small enough to navigate remote areas, but yet large enough to provide speed and superior handling and stability when in rough seas. Now, we don't anticipate to have those so much in the Great Lakes, but of course it can happen too. And let's just look at some of the specs for the vessel itself. So we are seeing we've got 378 guests on board, 260 crew members. And as I noted earlier as well, we can have anywhere up to 40 scientists and researchers joining us at any given time. The ship itself, as mentioned, it really is designed for destination discovery. It's designed for viewing. I always talk about when I speak about the other vessels, the use of the materials that we use in our shipbuilding, light woods, metals, but glass. And glass is definitely something that is prominent through all our ships. It really does provide a feel of a much larger vessel. Definitely provides an opportunity for viewing wherever you may be on the vessel, and it truly is something to be experienced. As you enter into the vessel, immediately you've stepped upon a Viking ship. And it is remarkable. Again, it's the furnishings that we're all so familiar with. If you have sailed with us, everything feels Viking. And you're going to say, oh, I recognize that seat. Oh, I recognize those glasses. Oh, I recognize that stitching. One thing that really, really stood out to me, while the furnishings and the finishings on our Viking ocean ships is something definitely to behold, my goodness, we've taken that up to another level here on the expedition ship. And we have these little locations and areas because of the nature of the ship, and because she's built as an icebreaker as well, an icebreaker registered, the support mechanism in the ship. So we have this combination of the Scandinavian contemporary, but little blends and little touches of the industrial aspect, where we've left girders open. You can see the riveting, and it's a combination of that wonderful industrial feel as well as Scandinavian contemporary, and that can be felt and seen throughout the vessel. We again, just as we've always said, no casinos. It is an adult-only experience, so it really opens itself for this wonderful, relaxing, quiet experience that you're going to be embarking upon. One of the locations on board that was absolutely fascinating for us to see. I knew of it. I just didn't know what to expect, and we were very fortunate, to be given a demonstration of how this works. So the aula, as you see here, is actually designed based on the opera house in Oslo, where they used to do the Peace or the Nobel Peace Awards. It's been based and designed upon that very similar design. But this is the location for any entertainment that we may have on board. Obviously, listening to lecturers and seeing and visualizing the nature aspect of this experience, but at the same time, that all opens up to something remarkable. So one moment you could be watching or listening to one of the scientists or researchers on board, and the very next moment you're going to be experiencing this. Now, the sound may or may not come through, but I just wanted to show you how this works visually. As mentioned, you will be then watching listening to the whoever the speakers may be, and within moments, with the click of a button, the theater itself opens up on the sides, opens up here visually. It does take moments. It's just a matter of moments before this huge screen enters into the ceiling, and then the outside comes in. We always talk about that in the Scandinavian feel of having the outside come in. And lo and behold, there we go. We open up to the Finse Terrace. Another dedicated viewing area on board the ship. There's wonderful heated seats if need be. The wonderful volcanic rock fireplaces that we have there. Just another example of a ship that's been built for destination and discovery. Here's another angle of the Finse Terrace as well. So particularly this time of the year, and we are focusing today on the Great Lakes. So we do anticipate nicer weather at this time of the year while we're here. So this location will be very well used for comfort and just taking in the magnificent views that we're going to be enjoying. And talk about magnificent views, another public area that we've all become familiar with, particularly on our ocean ships. We've carried it over to the expedition, which is the Explorer's Lounge. It is a 2-deck viewing area, 270 degrees viewing area with beautiful open glass, minimal obstruction. So this location destination, just to sit there and take in the views of, beautiful location, to sit there with a coffee, a tea, hot chocolate, a cocktail, while we're cruising in and out of the ports. This is a prime area. And as I said, it is a 2-deck location. You see the stairwell at the side there. We have a little baby grand piano in there as well. So it'll also be the location for entertainment in the evenings. What I mentioned earlier, this little, the furnishings and the finishings. And there's all these little nooks and little areas. And I just love how it's been broken up into these little individual sections, and this is just one example there of it, which we find in the living room. It really does open itself up for relaxation, being surrounded by beauty. The books on the shelves will be relevant to the location and destination that we are sailing through. Another area which we've become synonymous with, from the Aquavit Terrace that we find on our river ships, which is the alternate dining venue and viewing area on our longships in Europe, as well as what we introduce onto the Viking Oceans. We find here in the Aquavit Terrace. It is a little bit different on the expedition vessel. Of course, we are located aft, and because of the nature of the expedition experience, particularly if we're down in Antarctica, the Aquavit Terrace here on the expedition vessel of Cantus or the Polaris is more covered. And you'll see that you're more surrounding of glass. But you do see the roof above there with the glass panels. If you have sailed with us on our ocean ships and you're familiar with that, the retractable roof. And the retractable roof operates here also on the expedition ship, here in the pool area. So immediately the side windows can be opened up, the retractable roof can be opened. So then we get that wonderful exterior feel as well. Just past the little framework there will be then the entrance to the Aquavit bar. So we have the bar, we have the wonderful sun lounges here, and then we have the plunge pools and the inside outside pool. So you can actually enter into the pool within the body of the ship, and then if you swim along, you actually enter into the exterior. I think the next image gives us an idea of that. Yes, it does. You see the sun lounges, you see the pool on the left, pool on the right, and the rectangular pool in the middle is the one that transitions from being an indoor pool to an outdoor pool. And it allows us to heat on a need-to basis, all different temperatures. It is just, again, we are talking about the Great Lakes. We're talking about the summer months for the most part. So this, I would anticipate, will be a very popular area on board. The spa goes without saying. Live Nordic is our spa partner, and they operate an amazing spa experience on our ocean ships, and we've partnered with them again here on the expedition vessels. The Nordic Spa, it is remarkable. We have the shower rooms, we have the snow grotto, we have the steam rooms, we have the Stemmerbad, we have the spa right next to it as well for the hair, for the nails, manicures, etc., facials. It all intertwined here in this area, and anybody can come to this area. The health center, which is adjacent, just on the other side. Again, complimentary access to the health center, which is equipped with the latest in fitness equipment. And while we talk about being fit and losing weight, now let's talk about food. Remarkable, absolutely remarkable. But upon the board of the vessel itself, we are looking at 6 different dining opportunities. Again, as it always is, at no additional cost whatsoever for specialty dining. The restaurant is going to be our prime location for evening meals. The restaurant is open for dinner only. As is Manfredi's, the specialty Italian bistro, named after the previous owner of Silver Seas, Mr. Manfredi himself. So these 2 locations will be evenings only, based on reservations. But the World Cafe, it was the World Cafe that absolutely blew my mind on this vessel. While it is such a hit and a wondrous place to have a dining experience on the ocean ships, we've taken it and we've been actually enlarged on the World Cafe. So consider the fact you are walking into and around this open cooking area, so you can see the food preparation taking places. We break out the region into different food types. From the magnificent gelato and the dessert area to the cakes area to a bakery, and all they are doing at this little bakery is baking fresh bread, from baguettes to seeded breads. Remarkable. Directly adjacent to that is the pizzeria, so they are just baking fresh pizzas all day long. We even then in the evenings have the sushi bar as well. So the sushi location also very, very popular indeed, as well as the grilled steaks that we have along the way as well. And then an array of different foods for you to choose from here at the World Cafe. Dining opportunities, of course, majority of it is enclosed, as I mentioned, because of the nature of the expedition itineraries themselves. But alfresco dining is available in the World Cafe. Mamson's, named after the mother of our chairman, Mr. Thorsten Hagen, his mom, Mamson's. Well, again, it was a little dedicated area on board the ocean ships. We've enlarged it, and we've really created this magnificent alternate Scandinavian themed dining area. Again, open here for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, as is the World Cafe. I did fail to mention the fact that the World Cafe is breakfast, lunch, and dinner, as is Mamson's. So an array of, for the mornings, with the magnificent Norwegian waffles, open sandwiches, an array of soups that are served during the day, and it is open pretty much all day long, as it, which is a little bit different to what we enjoy on the ocean ships, when it just has an open close 3 times a day, little sessions. You can now pass by Mamson's any time of the day to enjoy a Scandinavian delight. The Aquavit bar as well, just as we've enjoyed on the other vessels as well. More, a wonderful informal area here as well. And of course, it goes without saying, a 24-hour room service that's provided complimentary, again, with a magnificent array of food items to choose from. Just a few images. If you have sailed with us, river or ocean, you'll see the similarities again, using the same fabrics, using the same items. We spoke about streamlined and really working smart. And I think that's really clever, because when you get to sail, if you sail upon all our vessels, you feel at home. It's that Viking feel that we've created across our entire fleet. As I mentioned, restaurant open in the evenings. Manfredi's, again, it's based on the same aspect. Oh my goodness, if you haven't already, if you do cruise with us on the either the ocean or the expedition, you get to visit Manfredi's. I always like to say that ribeye, the marinated ribeye that we serve on board, is absolutely remarkable. So of course, with a collection of antipasti as well as handmade pastas, just remarkable dining experience
Excuse
at
me,
Manfredi's.
Darren.
Yes.
If anybody has any questions, please put them in the chat. And then we'll be wrapping up soon. I'll be showing some of my slides as well.
Yep.
How are we doing on time, Darren?
We are getting right to the end right now.
Okay, fascinating. Everyone, I'm sure, is fascinated. So keep going.
Exactly. So there's the Wharf Cafe that I spoke to there with the gelato bar. I spoke about Mamson's, the serving hatch there, and you'll see the wide array of items displayed throughout the day. Expedition Central, this is where it all takes place. This is where we talk to the tour directors. The screen that you see on the left there is actually a functioning screen as well. Many touchscreen items in here in Expedition Central. For instance, if we've sent the weather balloons up, the data that's being collected as the weather balloon goes up is actually transitioned back to the ship and is displayed on this large screen TV, large screen here. Very interactive. We can also pull up maps and discover and show you where you are, what's happening in the nature aspect around us. It's also the location for our photography classes, ornithology. These birds that you see here are not taxidermied. They're actually hand knitted. They're actually being crocheted as you would. You would not believe how lifelike these birds look, and they're all handmade. It is remarkable. So no taxidermy, but here we get to learn about the different birds that we will be experiencing and seeing along our journey. It's where we do our photography classes. And then the hangar is the location for the watercraft and everything that will be going into the waters of the lake. Now, just I want to put an asterisk to what I'm about to say. Now, while we have the watercraft on board, the Zodiacs, these magnificent SOBs, of course, special operations boats, and the fleet of kayaks, as well as the submersibles, we are restricted in North America, in US waters. Due to the Jones Act, and something we're working with the authorities on, allowing us to get clearance for us to use these watercraft in US waters. Currently, for the most part, the watercraft and such are being used when we're in Canadian waters, but unfortunately not as yet in US waters. So we'll be using watercraft which are registered in the US, if we will dive bottom boats, etc., while we're going up. But the hangar is such a unique location. It's where we get onto the special operations boats. It's where the Zodiacs and the kayaks will be launching from the side of the ship as well. I'll skip through this real quick. As mentioned, this is the expedition equipment that we found on board, but current restrictions, unfortunately, until such times as we get the approval, will be reserved for using when we're in Canadian waters. The submersibles carrying 6 guests each, with a pilot. Again, we're going down. We're gathering samples. We're taking images, which are then sent back to the Expedition Central that you saw earlier as well. So you might not be one of those guests in the submersible, but you can definitely view what's happening in the Expedition Central. No additional cost. Our aim and goal is to have everyone experience all the watercraft experiences on board the ships. And the lab, as I mentioned, located adjacent to the hangar, and those open windows there. Again, this is samples where we're going to be working alongside you as the guest joining us, are working alongside these scientists and researchers. We're looking at microplastics, we're looking at algae, we're looking on the natural view as well, you know, wildlife and you know, such like that. It is remarkable what's happening and taking place, of course, with our partners at Cornell, at the Cambridge University, as well as NOAA as well. And finally, just finish off, as we've always done, our ships are built in this with choices in mind. We believe that there is something here for everyone based on square footage, based on budget. Your Nordic balcony stateroom will be your entry level, 220 square feet. You see how the carpet kind of like divides itself by the color aspect there. That's kind of an indoor balcony. Again, due to the nature of the expedition experience, it's very rare that we'll actually have a sit-out balcony or sit-out veranda on the vessels. But what does happen here, the top section of the window, the floor-to-ceiling window that we see here, at a press of a button, the top section lowers down. So, and then with the seating arrangements there, it will be given the feel as though you are sitting out on your own personal balcony. I think this image shows it best. So the top section of that window would lower down into the main. We've taken the same feel, same aspect to the bathrooms as we have on our river, as well as our ocean. King size beds on our expedition vessels, very much aligned to the ocean ship accommodations that we have too. From a series of the Nordic balcony staterooms up to the suites, and again from the Nordic Junior Suites into the Explorer Suites, as well as an owner suite as well. Magnificent, right? Of 1,200 square feet of the owner suite. And this accommodation does enjoy an outdoor area with the jacuzzi bath there as well as outdoor experience. So this is really limited to the owner suite where we have any form of outdoor seating. Of course, expedition gear is provided for the most part. You will be included in your cruise fare. You will be receiving an expedition jacket. All the fitting is done prior to your departure, so you bring the jacket with you. For use while on board, we have the waterproof leggings, boots, walking sticks, you name it. These are used on board and then given back before your departure. The jacket is yours to keep, of course. And then, of course, suggested thermal gear, not so much really for the Great Lakes region, more aligned to the Explorer. And then a very unique aspect, and I think this is a magnificent concept, so that the outerwear that you've been wearing on your tour, you've been on the Zodiac, you've been out in the open water, you've got wet, maybe it's raining. When you come back to your stateroom, you simply hang these items into your drying closet, so they're not lying or not hanging alongside your regular clothes. So you know, nothing contaminated with wetness. So your regular clothing remains dry, and then in your drying closet, your outerwear is dry, kept warm. And so the next day, when you go about to go embark upon an expedition, the following day, you're able to put on this wonderful, warm, dry outerwear items. And Ted,
oh, that's amazing, Darren.
For me.
Hey, Darren, again, this is Cruising with Ted, the host. How's everybody doing today? Thank you. We're going to be just a few more minutes, so bear with us. Darren, could you I want to ask you a general question, particularly for the river cruises, just for people listening in. There's been some changes lately with COVID procedures.
Yes.
Not getting into a whole long-winded thing. Could you kind of give us an overview on what the recent changes are? And again, these are fluid, so maybe they'll change again, but go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. We were very excited. I actually bumped into our chairman at the hotel last week in Los Angeles. And on the day of Friday, of course, the last Friday was a huge announcement in the industry that COVID, providing a negative COVID test to get back into the country has been dropped by the CDC. So we're all celebrating that fact. That is wonderful news for us all. So we don't have to be worried about that. Although Viking was testing on a daily basis, as well as providing that negative test to get back into the country, we have dropped that. So while we will continue with the requirement for fully vaccinated guests only, and that's across the board, river, ocean, expedition, that will be a continuation. There's no change in that. Also, being required to carry your CDC card proof of, because remember, we're visiting different countries and things can change at a drop of a hat, right? With the exception of Octantis and the Orion, which the itineraries that we're looking at today, the Great Lakes, as well as if we're cruising in Alaska, no further pre-trip testing is required. But if we are, as you were saying, looking at this itinerary today in the Great Lakes, anything is incorporating US, Canada, Alaska, we will continue to require that. That's not us requiring it, that's because we're sailing through Canada. Now, currently, that will be the case through, we want to say June through August at this juncture. Of course, we would continue to monitor any changes. We are no longer requesting daily testing on our vessels, which we have been in the past. So the daily testing on oceans and river has now subsided, as well as mask wearing as well. Now, while we do recommend wearing a mask for tours and crew excursions, no longer required. So no longer need a mask on board our ships, or if you're doing an excursion, we recommend them on the excursions. Again, these variants can change on a whim, right? So always be prepared, I think, in today's society. But as of right now, those are the very exciting announcements we have to make. I think it's a sure sign that we're definitely heading in the right direction, as well as, keep obviously always keeping safety and health in front of mind. It can change at any given time, and consider the fact that we are cruising through different countries, different locations, and where requirements can change on a whim as well.
Okay, Dr. Dolan, thank you for that synopsis, okay?
That'd be Dr.
Right.
Bono, actually. She is our Chief Health Officer.
Oh, you're okay. You have somebody that does that full
We
time.
do indeed.
One thing I wanted to note, and this is kind of curious. So one thing I found, okay, so let's say you're just about to cruise, and Viking this year still has the risk-free guarantee for this year. I don't think it's continued in the next year. Is that correct?
Well, we will see. Again, that's something that we've put out there as a peace of mind to our clients, because of the ever-changing world. Okay. We monitor that. Now, the fact that we dropped these requirements, please don't record this. Don't don't quote me on this. But I don't see the risk-free moving forward based on these announcements, because the risk-free was really there for people who say, I don't want to cruise with wearing a mask. I don't want to be tested daily. And as we've seen the numbers diminish, that's what that was there for, as a peace of mind, giving up the 14 days to make and to change your mind. But we don't anticipate that if we're not requiring masks and we're not doing daily testing. Okay. So, I if I was a betting man, I'd probably see the risk-free going away soon.
Okay, thank you. And there's a couple of peculiarities as well. You have the risk-free. Some people have it up to 2 weeks. Some people up to 24 hours before the cruise.
Correct.
And another thing too is, which is curious. So let's say somebody gets COVID. I think it's like 10 days before the cruise. Mm-hmm. I don't think you can go. But if it's before that and you have a doctor's note, it's kind of an oddity because then if you're getting tested and you get tested positive, but if you bring your doctor's note, you don't have to worry. You know what I'm talking about, Darren?
Yeah, it's again, we've and now we've really fallen into a new transition, right? Because we're not requiring the VeriFly completion that we had to before, where you had to download the negative test and such like that. So, we're entering into a new realm. We're entering into a new, surroundings and requirements. Okay. And of course, if you wish to be tested on board, you can be. If you are found to be COVID positive, at that given time, then we have to fall into the rules, regulations of the location and destination that we're cruising in. And we have to abide by their requirements.
Yeah, I didn't want to bring a big focus on it at this point, but I work with a lot of people, tens of thousands of people, either online or on Facebook or social media. Generally, the far majority of people have been traveling safely with Viking. Viking has been noted to be one of the forerunners and the leaders in keeping people safe on board. There's a lot of people that say, well, they're testing too much, and then there's another people that say they're not testing enough. It's kind of hard to keep everybody happy, but I think Viking has done a good job of creating a good environment so that people do feel safe and they can cruise.
We did indeed. And again, that was all down to bringing on retired Vice Admiral Dr. Bono.
Okay.
Her specialty was infectious diseases within the U.S. Navy. And we brought her on right at the, as COVID became, back in 20, right? And if there's a cruise line that's had an overabundance of caution, it's definitely us. We built the labs on board our ocean ships so we could conduct daily testing. Even on our river ships, we work with our partners so we could still do testing using local labs. So yes, there has been, and we were probably the first one, the last one to drop the mask mandates now as well. So yes, but we feel that the world has changed. That for the meanwhile, that we can say goodbye to these things, but we'll continue to monitor, and if need be, we will resort back.
All right, so let me, Darren, let me just take a few minutes to explain what I do, because you were so thorough. We don't have much time for me to do my pitch, but
you should know me by now.
It's hard to keep it. It's hard to stop a freight train when Darren's
sorry, passionate.
No, that's okay. You did a great job. So, but give me like 5-10 minutes, guys. Please bear with me. This Viking Octanus and has been making major headlines. This is a big deal. Okay, these are some of the news articles. All the TV stations, newspapers have been covering this historic making event. So believe me, this is not a small thing at all. And a venture to even get these ships through all these locks, and everything worked out okay, right, Darren? All right, and then let me just. Okay, so this is me. This is Who's Cruising with Ted. We have over 10,000 satisfied customers since the turn of the century. We specialize in small ship, ocean, river, and expedition adventures. That's all we do, and it's really a lot of Viking. Okay. And why work with a travel agent? Well, you can gain insight with us. We have exclusive privileges not available elsewhere, and you save time. We're really the experts. This is all we do. We help tons of people, and everything we do is in your favor. You can get extra cabin credits, even if you're already booked with Viking. You can call us with your booking number as long as you book directly with them within a couple months, and we can say, hey, we can add some extra credit, and yes, you can keep all your past discounts, everything Viking gave you. Okay, so we want to let you know the Viking reps that answer the phone are incredible. It's probably difficult for us even to do it because nobody wants to park with their Viking guy or girl. But believe me, there's lots of extra things we can do for you. Here's an example: shipboard credit, 14-night Grand European cruise, $500 shipboard credit for working with Ted. And again, all you have to do is give us your booking number or call us to book, and we'll add even up to $1,000 per person. Viking allows us to pay basically whatever the price is of the beverage package, silver spirits package. They allow us up to that amount. It may not be that amount every time, depending on what you pay, but that's what they allow us to do. We have a website, cruisingwithed.com, everything in one place. All information pertaining to travel is right here. We cover destinations, all the cruise lines, travel information. There's a lot on there. Go on our website today and you can get live pricing information on every major cruise line. We're your travel experts and seasoned professionals familiar with all these different lines, okay? And another thing, you can go on our website and get free expedition guides for almost every destination Viking goes to, you can get specific information. You go into our website, click destinations, world destinations, and in alphabetical order, there are thousands and thousands of destinations, such as the Great Lakes, Niagara Falls. So there's an overview, and then there's what you can see and do, and casinos, and maps, and security information, all kinds of stuff in there that's going to help you out. We even have a Facebook page on Facebook, Cruising with Ted. Go on there, like the page. Every day we're putting tons of great information on there. And we have great reviews, 5 out of 5. Ted took over a Viking Ocean Cruise booking for us. He got us extra onboard credits and had been in constant contact with us to ensure we had the latest updates on all legs of the trip. He has a travel app where all of our travel documents, itinerary, excursions, and guides for each port we will be visiting. We have used travel agents in the past, and Ted has gone above and beyond any of them. I highly recommend using him for any travels you are considering. We have a Viking Facebook page. It's called Viking Cruises, River, Ocean, and Expedition Facebook group by Cruising with Ted. So go on that Facebook group. There's a whole bunch of them now. I was the first one to have a Viking Facebook group, by the way. And we have almost 9,000 members and growing. We also have a Viking World Cruise Explorers Facebook group. You're welcome to join that as well. Travel insurance, again, call us for travel insurance. Viking offers a wonderful TripMate, and again, we often recommend that. Nothing wrong with TripMate, but we do have a little bit more specialized information on travel insurance. And another thing too, just a little tip: if you're using a voucher, let's say you have a $10,000 voucher, the cruise line travel insurance normally wouldn't cover that cost. So do call us to make sure that you're getting the best value, whether it be the Viking insurance or what we offer. Okay, we'll give you a choice. But please do get travel insurance, particularly. Are you still there, Darren?
I am indeed, yes.
So I've had people that got the Viking insurance,
Yep.
and then they got stuck with COVID and they had to stay somewhere and they had to fly back.
Yep.
I was told the Viking insurance helps. It's good to have that because or even our insurance helps with that, right?
Yep, it does. But at the same time, I mean, just as insurance was important before COVID, it's just as important today.
Or even more so.
You still have to consider the fact that, illness can still happen, accidents could happen and such like that. So, as we say, now more than ever, insurance is important because of the COVID world we live in, but it doesn't take away from the fact that other things could happen to you while you're traveling as well. So whether you're taking the Viking insurance, and as you noted, the TripMate insurance does not cover vouchers or future cruise vouchers revenue. So that's always something very important to remember. But regardless of whether you're taking Viking TripMate or another option, please get insurance.
And I want to thank Darren today for attending. You did a great job. I want to thank everybody that attended. Keep traveling. Join us on our next adventure. We're going to be having these ones. We have one for river coming up. We have for ocean. Look on our Facebook page. That's where all these things are going to be listed. And keep sailing, everybody. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Ted. Bye-bye.
Ted thanks you for watching and asks you to subscribe to Cruisin' with Ted on Facebook and YouTube.